What a family of sport dash when the Mary Lee is 4:17 p.m. in my city, Chicago, May 22nd, 2025. Thursday, 6% on my phone. I'm gonna go all the way to 429 because social media is really getting on my nerves, and I have paid a lot of money for phones, and I don't even talk to nobody other than you, viewer, real talk. So if you don't know who I am, please do the research and take time out your busy schedule and find out who I am not. And I am not a damn fool. Okay, I paid. I could have got a nice little used car. All the money I spent the last 8 years on cellular phones alone, trying to get my message across. And of course, it's just like DMX said when he spoke about the industry. Before they railroaded and killed him or whatever the case is, tapped him out or whatever the case is. You know what I'm saying? He talked about the industry. It wouldn't be nothing without us and stuff. The Hispanics, they are very prideful people or whatever and stuff. And I've been knowing that ever since I was in this program called Vision Quest program for teenagers with behavior problems and things of that nature or whatever. I became the first girl head teamster. I should have became the first girl head scout, but they gave it to some short guy, Mexican named Jose. I'll never forget it. You understand what I'm saying? But I got cheated, but then, I came back to my city and I know I, earned that title, first girl head scout. I have a Teamster shirt. I'm gonna wear it one day. But long story short, I just want my real Mary McNamara. I've been in my city, Chicago, a long time, man. Born in Chicago, and people came and they made a lot of money and stuff, and my influenced a lot of immigrants and people that migrated to my city, Chicago. Me being originated right since the age of 8, 1975, but never having more than 25,000 at one time, and that was back in like 2006. You understand what I'm saying? Real talk. Out of all the work I've put in to raising the consciousness of everybody in general, because I didn't discriminate. I spent my money with a little bit of everybody, but now it seems as though the Hispanics are the main ones that's trying to capitalize and monopolize what me and my people already did, and that's come together to generate as much money as people was getting. Oprah would have never been a billionaire, and Tyler Perry and so many others had it not been for me just holding the line and making sure I got as many up there as possible. And I thought in the end they will all stand up and we'll be able to maintain without scrambling and looking like crackheads and dope fiends out here like we are now, fighting for crumbs and stuff that we should have already made. But that's what happens when you don't stand up for a real one. So now I'm seeing a lot of Hispanics and foreigners in my city, Africans, that I've never seen on the south side of Chicago, or just, in general, as much as, I've been seeing them, on my side of the city, or Chicago, period, on the south side and east side, it was always, and west side, always colored people and stuff, and now it's like a lot of Africans and foreigners and Mexicans and white people. It's just weird. It's a weird culture. You understand what I'm saying? We started out pretty, good. You understand what I'm saying? After they railroaded me in 2008 on Devon and Clark, after I built up, which was somewhat a mixture of races in Rogers Park, my city, Chicago, not too far from the Valentine's Day Massacre. In Chicago, they dressed it up like the police and killed their rivals on Valentine's Day, and that's where I got railroaded on Devon and Clark, not too far from that area. Long story short, for tinted windows, and they turned it into disarming police officer, something I did not do. Got my first felon, all because I was, promoting my book, Rhymes, Poems, and Metaphors Plus One Song, for free on MySpace. They shut it down because, it was too real for motherfuckers, I guess. And then they was trying to promote, Obama, second coming of, you know, Satan, I guess. I don't know. It's crazy. You understand what I'm saying? It's crazy. You want to find out that I'm not lying? Go to your Bible, Ezekiel chapter 20th. They call it abomination. It's a play on word. Obama nation. Yeah. Swap orama. If you take, put a hook on that B, you got swap Obama. And that's where I was selling my merchandise and giving my book, Rhymes, Poems, and Metaphors, plus one song away, before I got railroaded May 31st, 2008. See, I didn't know all that until I started thinking and got railroaded and stuff. And they started trying to kill me and they gave me cancer in 2016 while Obama was still president. I know I'm all over the place, but I want you to stay with me this time, Mary McNamara, because they wanted you, my Mary McNamara. Why? Because I was out there for 25 years, or just as long as Oprah was on the air. You understand what I'm saying? In my city, Chicago, on the Oprah Winfrey Show or Harper Show, whatever they want to call it. You understand what I'm saying? She was on there 25 years and she went off the air. Guess when? On my birthday, May 25th, right? Because she migrated to Chicago. I sent her my story, child abuse rapper, of being a child abuse victim in 1984 at the age of 17, not knowing that she was going to be exploiting me for over 30 years and become a billionaire and leave me for dead in a trap building, 6210 South Kenbark Avenue, Chicago, Illinois, 60637, apartment 308. Just in case somebody want to kick in the door and finish killing me and shit, because I'm really left for dead anyway. Never really had nothing from the beginning. It was just kind of like camouflaging for the ones who was really making a killing off of me. I had some things, don't get me wrong. I went for it. Don't get me wrong, I did. A lot of people came up because of me, and that's why we know the difference between real love and fake love. You got to remember, Vincent Guerrero was a Spanish Revolutionary War, hero and person who tried to help the stringy Mexicans, Hispanics, but their hair, their hair is different from ours and stuff. And he thought just because he was, spoke Spanish and was part Hispanic, that they would, but no, they wanted someone that looked like them in charge. And now that's what's going on. A lot of people who don't look like me but are Hispanic, but full-blooded, I guess you would want to call it, with the stringy hair, look more like white people. They are taking over my city, Chicago, and my building, and it's crazy out here. It's just like, little Mexico everywhere and stuff. So I'm like Cat Williams and stuff. Where you expect us to go? You understand what I'm saying? Because Mexico is flourishing. They've been told me that. You understand what I'm saying? Real talk. And they're very prideful. They'll tell you what's going on and how they doing it. Now, I used to sell CDs and tapes and movies and this, that, and third, music in general. And they kind of railroaded me out of that. And guess who took over? Mexicans and stuff. Selling my music and shit. You understand what I'm saying? I say, why you just don't sell, Hispanic music? Oh, because, this crowd won't buy it. But you exploit us and then treat us like shit. So, they talk crazy to us and then expect us to support them and stuff. I got a rebellious spirit and an entrepreneurial, spirit also. And I know, honesty is the best policy in business. And, you can catch more flies with honey than you can shit. You understand what I'm saying? They got a shitty attitude and a disposition about themselves. And a lot of these foreigners, they come over here, think we just supposed to cater to them and stuff. And, they take all our stuff and, we support them. And they don't care if we live or die, eat, sleep, or, what I'm saying? Whatever the case may be. They just got their hand out. And for what? Just to play the game? You'll never be what I gave my people, or people in general. And that's the real American Martin Luther King, I have a dream. Everybody coming together and coming up. And that's what happened. I brought them all together. And then the Mexicans thought they'd get rid of me and they'll be able to do it their way and stuff like that. And they'll get revered and praised by people that look like me. That we know you don't care about us and stuff. We know that. That's why I say whatever happens to me, believe me, it's going to happen to you all. But I'm not going by myself. And God's not going to allow too much more to happen to me without them getting justice in the wrong way. You understand what I'm saying? Because, man, we treated them like family. At least I know I did. And I know how they got down. I remember I had a Social Security check. And this is when, I got a Social Security check back in the day or whatever. Because, they've been trying to railroad me forever once they found out how much I really am worth, right? So they try to lay me crazy, like Dave Chappelle said. So, I had a payee by the name of Donna Marie Evans, and she was controlling my finances by, just pocket watching, problem, troublemaker. You understand what I'm saying? All I get is trouble. I was like, damn, I'll never get a break. Long story short, she had brought me, my little check at the time was about $400 back then and shit. And I'm pretty sure she kept half of it, because she's a thief. You understand what I'm saying? And they think I'm stupid, so I play along just to, prove I'm not. Long story short, I wanted to see if the Mexican stringy hair Hispanic was going to steal my money, right? So something told me to put the whole check on the windowsill. So I put it on the windowsill, and I walked out the room. I came back. He was cleaning my room. I came back. Didn't leave me $1. Not $1. And I didn't even fuss or fight about it and stuff, for real. But I know how they get out. And that's why, I talk the way I do and don't give them shit today. You understand what I'm saying? See, if you want something from me, you have to be, cordial about it. You understand what I'm saying? You don't have to kiss my butt, but I already know you didn't rob me. But what happens to fair exchange, no robbery? Otherwise, you can't get blood from a turnip. And all you're doing is making enemies. And, God is going to win the war regardless if, you kill me or not. We gonna win regardless and stuff. I'm a one person army, sort of, kind of speaking. It's 429, my ex-girlfriend LaWanda Joy Jacobs' birthday, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and Jehovah's Witnesses, and I believe she set me up or whatever. I don't care about that. Long story short, I'm still winning. What part you understand? As long as God is by my side, it's the 15. 5-1 and 6. I've been standing up for myself since the 8th of 6, 1973, against bullies. And I am the manifestation of Martin Luther King. I have a dream. His birthday is January 15. You lose again. Peace.